Huzzah, Rangers! This is your boy Phil Harris here at the Jacks Rangers show. I am joined with Diamond Dave. Dave, how the hell are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Phil. Looking forward to this weekend. How are you?
Same, excellent, man. It's rivalry week. Hashtag rivalry week. That is hard to say when you put those two words together like that. Let's get right into it here. I wanted to mention that Inkify is the sponsor of this particular episode. Inkify is embroidering, printing, and embroidery since 2010. Inkify provides high quality decorated apparel nationwide, from ordering the apparel to printing, adding a private label, folding, bagging, and fulfillment. They handle it all, so you don't have to. Visit Inkify.com to get started on your order and tell them TJRS sent you, and you'll get 15% off of your entire order. That is a hell of a deal. There's already people scrambling for patches for the First Regiment, which is a new supporters group, the official one that has been recognized by the club, the Free Jacks. So maybe we'll see a partnership between the First Regiment and Inkify in the future. I think that'd be super cool. I know that they've done scarves for the First Regiment that are going to be rolled out here shortly, which is very, very awesome. But anywho, let's talk about DC because we will have Colonel Kenny Thompson, excuse me. Southerners always like to throw in a P, just like
Yes, Thompson.
Yes, for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but I always mess it up. Anywho, Colonel Kenny is going to be on the show on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll be talking about the supporters group then. Let's talk about DC now, our only well, I guess some people would argue that there's other minor rivals that the Free Jacks have now that New York no longer exists. But I would certainly make the argument that they're our primary rival now. They stole our colors. That is true. That is not a bit. That is a real thing that happened. So let's take a quick look at the standings, Dave. If you check it out, anybody that wants to go look at the MLR.com, the mighty New England Free Jacks are on top of the Eastern Conference with 5 points. No surprise there. Point
Mhm.
differential of 33, which is really impressive. That's a great start. Our little brothers, DC, have 0 points and find themselves in the mud at the start of the competition in fifth place above Healthcare RFC. Congratulations to the lovable losers, Dallas Jackals, with a miracle on Melrose Boulevard, beating the brand new LA Dickheads and improbably finding themselves in unfamiliar territory in first place in the Big Bad West with 5 points. Rick Collins is ready to stop the count right now. I am sure of that. So yeah, let's talk about the festival that's happened this weekend. By the way, your New England Free Jacks have their first opening game of the season at Fort
That's right.
Quincy, and people are losing their minds in anticipation of this. It's been a long off season. We've been away from Fort Quincy for so long, but we're finally going to make our way back. Let me talk about the festival, and then I'll get your thoughts on it, Dave. Um, it says, join us in the celebration of Major League Rugby's 2023 championship team. Strap on your lederhosen and grab your champs merch because it's time to relive the championship buzz and welcome home the Free Jacks to the 2024 Champtoberfest, not the Oktoberfest, but the Champtoberfest. Kick off the day by watching homegrown talent show their skills at the Free Jacks Academy Combine. Grab a beer at the Champs Beer Fest while bopping along to the sounds of Oompa Band Tuba Frau. After quaffing your beer, oompa your way to the field to welcome your Free Jacks back to Fort Quincy for the 2024 home opener as they take on 2023 Eastern Conference final rivals Old Glory DC. Keep that celebration alive and join us at the post-match party where Quincy's own DJ Phil will be spinning some tunes. And I did try to get Mags on the phone to get clarification about this. I don't know if I'm going to be spinning records or just drinking Stormalongs. We'll see what happens at the end of the game there. And I'll tell you this. I can do a set. That's not a problem. It's just going to be really, really weird. And I know you're the Prince of Weird, so it's going to be great for you, but maybe not so much for the kids in the audience as I'll be playing some 80s horror inspired tunes.
All
Um,
right. I
yeah.
figured it'd be like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and like some real out there like British prog rock type stuff, maybe.
Not quite, not quite. I'm more
No.
of like a retro wave, like vapor wave. I'm really into like 80s
All right.
inspired music made by like 20-year-olds nowadays. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like a subgenre of electronic music. That's what I mostly listen to. But then I'll throw in some, George Jones in there, so people can, shed a tear into their beer, or
I
some
like it.
old school Metallica. I'm all over the place. I'm very eclectic, my friend. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be me. But if it has to be me, I'll rise to the occasion. I'll get it done, as we always do around
There
here.
you go.
Yeah, yeah. What's your thoughts on the festival? You excited for this one?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We my youngest daughter has a birthday party that she RSVP'd to in like November.
Oh
It's
wow,
like a swimming party. It was planned a long time ahead. So
gotcha.
unfortunately, my wife and my youngest daughter aren't going to be there. But
Mhm.
we just invited one of my other daughter's friends and her
Love
dad to
that.
come along. So the seats will still be filled. We're going to bring a couple new fans to see the Free Jacks for the first time.
That's great.
I love that. So I'm really excited to have a couple
Hmm.
newbies to talk through everything and get all
Nice.
hyped up.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll come down and join in for some plenty of
Mhm.
huzzas to be had. And I think it'll be great. I love the idea of like Champtoberfest, like wear your championship gear,
Yes.
like bring it on out. Let's celebrate one more time.
Hmm.
It's gonna be a big day. A lot of celebration of last season, and then of
That's right.
course, we turn eyes toward 2024. It's
That's
already
right.
started, and we'll get to see them demolish our hated rivals from down in DC.
Absolutely.
Definitely the only team that we hate. Well, maybe not the only team you hate, but
Well, they're the most hated in my mind.
yeah,
So yeah, there's that.
yeah, they
Do I
always
hate
have.
another team?
I don't
Let me
know.
think about this for a second. Do I hate another team? I don't like LA, but do I hate them? I don't know. I don't think
They're
I do
too
yet.
silly to hate.
They're too
They're
silly. Yeah.
dickheads.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
got the logo that looks like a Johnson.
Yeah. I think they're the only team that I hate, Dave. Crazy.
Yeah, not
Hard to
even San
believe.
Diego. Like San Diego's like
Yeah,
it's not
it's so
hate.
far
It's
away.
like I don't like you.
Right.
Like I certainly don't
Exactly.
like you.
Exactly.
But
I
there's a
might have
bit
to.
of respect,
Yeah.
and they make good rivals, but they're not hated. They're too far. I think you're right. It's just too far.
It's too far away. They're not close. The proximity is just it's way
Yeah.
too wide
I don't know how
of a.
Boston and LA ever did it as like
Yeah.
rivalry cities. I guess just you're good enough at the same time. That pulls it.
Constant final appearances in the
Yeah.
NBA, I think, help
That's
with that.
if
So,
we. I guess if we see them in the finals, 3 or 4 more times, that
mhm,
we'll hate them about that much.
100%.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this DC team.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's going to be interesting. They've got some strong players. Jameson Fanana Schultz, their
Mhm.
captain, he's belligerent at 6. Uh, him and Kyle Bailey going at
Yeah.
it is something I kind of hope happens.
That'll be
A
interesting.
couple big swinging knuckled guys.
Mhm.
They're going to be really former teammates, right? Like
Yeah.
there's always chance for sparks there. That could be quite a clash. They brought in some new guys. Ignacio Dadi is Locke, who stole a couple lineouts off Nola. He's got 62 caps for Uruguay, very experienced.
Mhm.
Um, they're Danny Tusitala wasn't in the roster at all last week. I didn't see anything
Interesting.
about him. I did like a quick look around and didn't see any news about why. So I don't know why, but he probably maybe back next week. He's the Josh Larson of DC. He's their
He
like
is.
he's old glory number one, I
He
guess.
has started every single game except for the one that last week and maybe one other one.
Yeah,
He's one of
he's.
those Iron Men within DC.
But they picked up Connor Buckley from New
Okay.
York, so he
Yeah.
started against Nola. He's pretty handy. He's very like snipey. He's a guy you got to keep an eye out on. He's a very seems like he'd be kind of like Tusitala, a kind of pretty annoying 9 to play against.
Right.
They also their backup 9 is Ethan McVeigh. I just feel like that's worth dwelling on for a
Whoa.
moment. Ethan McVeigh, that's
How about
cool.
that?
Um, and they're a good team. They got some players. Their mall looked pretty good. They also had a stop or two on Nola's Mall, so that'll be a good place for us to see where we measure up to that.
Gotcha.
They have a pretty strong pack, probably maybe one of the better packs in the East outside of us.
Hmm,
In terms of
okay.
just like talent and experience. They're pretty good. They're a good team. They've remember like we didn't have to beat New York other than the times in the regular season. We didn't have to beat New York to win the championship last year because
Hmm.
DC did it for us,
That's
right?
right.
Like they finished, they tied with New York on like pool points. Then they beat New York, and we beat them, and we went out and beat San Diego. You know,
Hmm.
they're a good team, and they're gonna remain a good team. That's one of the reasons I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a good game. Free Jacks are gonna win,
Yes.
but it's gonna be closer than last week.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I would definitely bet money on that. What I have written down here is our red, white, and blue little brothers, the color scheme thieves of DC, sputter into Fort Quincy, having not beaten the mighty New England Free Jacks. And at that point on Saturday, it'll be 1,049 days, but who's counting? The thieves have improved on paper the past two seasons and made a surprise appearance in the Eastern Conference Final last season, having upset the defending champions, the New York comment deleters, who have deleted themselves out of the league, and losing on the road in a 60-minute snooze fest against New Orleans before the Fool's Gold finally woke up for a 12-point victory last weekend. So we've talked about the new players, what we think was going to happen with DC, how good that they are when they are a good team. There's not a lot of great teams in the East at this point. You've got Miami, who definitely put up a fight against the Hounds, but they're a new franchise. You've got Charlotte. We've seen what they can do, a brand new development squad essentially within the league, a minor league team in the major leagues. We beat them by 33 points. Nola, who won that game against DC, but we know historically how well they do down the stretch. So it's kind of like this thing where, like, it's a tomato can conference, just like the New England Patriots. We've got a golden opportunity here as the New England Free Jacks to win all these games in the East and kind of, seal our own destiny with the playoff situation. But here's our little brothers nipping at our heels as a possible second place team. And we know that they're good. They didn't make the Eastern Conference Finals by some sort of mistake. Now, they did have a losing record getting into the playoffs. That is a thing. But they went up there to New York and punched them in the mouth and advanced to the Eastern Conference Final. And then we know what happened there. So, in terms of, we on this show, me specifically, I hate them. Like, now I'm not talking about the players. I'm not trying to bully anybody here, but I'm talking about the logo, right? The idea of DC. That's the issue that I have, as our biggest rival. So throughout the week, we've already, starting on Monday, we started coming out swinging, baby, and that's how we do with this show. And then yesterday, and now, going forward, we're going to continue on throughout the week with our little punches at DC. But this is a team that last season came in to Fort Quincy and almost, well, the Free Jacks didn't have great discipline in the second half. Let's make sure that we're clear, but they kept it close. And I expect that to be the case this week as well. But it's the home opener, and we haven't lost at Fort Quincy in over a season. It's a fortress. It's truly a fortress. There's a lot of teams that go, "Well, we got a fortress here wherever our stadium is," but in truth, Fort Quincy is truly a fortress, and that is a huge. Most of that is just the fans, the rowdy ruckus fans at Fort Quincy, intimidating the hell out of opponents and making sure that they stand up for defensive stands and stuff like that, helping the Free Jacks along. That is real. So let's move over to key to the game, and I'm going to let you go first.
All right. My key to the game is a pretty simple one. Manage errors. Oh,
Oh,
is that what you got, Phil? Do we got
pretty
the same
close.
answer on our
Pretty
homework?
close. Yep.
Listen, the game last week was impressive. They scored a bunch of points on Anthem. They proved able to score in a bunch of different ways. It was very good, but there were a lot of weird errors, the kinds of things that we're not as accustomed to. You always see some. Rugby's not a perfect game. It's one of the reasons it's fun to watch.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a pretty high error rate, kind of guys getting crossed up for no
Yep.
reason, errant passes,
Hmm.
things like that. and I think that we are a better team than DC. I mean, the good news is that I think DC is probably the second best team in our conference,
Yep,
and if all we do is manage our errors and play a good game, I think we will probably beat them. Like
I
that's a
agree.
good position to be able to say, oh, we just got to manage our errors and we'll win. But I think that is about where we're at. When we play some of the teams out in the West, it'll be a little bit different.
Correct.
Um, and that picture may change. You know, in 4 weeks, I might be eating those words. We'll see. But how I feel today is we should be able to beat these guys if we just play a clean game.
Agree with you 100%. In fact, what I wrote down is clean up the errors. Last week, there were double digit knock ons as the Free Jacks knocked the preseason rust off of a development team down there in Charlotte. You can't get away with that many unforced errors against a good DC team that will take advantage of that and has the ability to score at will, essentially. Now, we didn't see that last week, what I thought was a little strange because they only scored 6 points, and that was from two
Yeah.
penalty kicks the entire game against the Fools goal down there in New Orleans. So that's an interesting development. We'll have to wait and see on for this DC squad. Are they going to wake up offensively to if we do have some errors? Can they take advantage of that? We'll have to wait and see. But ultimately, I think the Free Jacks really need to focus on making sure that they play a clean game without unforced errors because again you have that with Charlotte and they don't have the teeth to bite you. But DC certainly does. They've got a couple of fangs within their grill here that can
Hmm.
hurt us for sure. And ultimately, last week DC was the Walking Dead. That performance against New Orleans, that's something that they're not going to be proud of. And they want to play spoilers because this is a rivalry game. We've seen it last season. The intensity is cranked up a notch between these two squads. So I expect them to come in here and try to beat the Free Jacks. They're not going to just come in here to looking for a losing bonus point. They want to win. And it's been a long time, and I'm sure that I don't know if it's bulletin board material, but they know when the last time they beat the Free Jacks is. And, that's not something that we have to remind them about, even though we did. That's something they want to get that win. I'm
Yeah.
sure that they look at they as an organization are a proud organization in terms of the money that they're bringing in. They're at a brand new venue, yada yada yada. They want to beat the Free Jacks, who are the best, head and shoulders above the rest in the Eastern Conference, and that's something that we haven't really discussed too much. Is that we're going to get everybody's best shot. Right, as the
Yeah.
defending champions, everybody's going to rise up to the occasion. They're going to crank it up just a little bit more when you're playing the top dog. So yeah, clean up the errors. And I've got my prediction here in front of me. I'm going to go first with that. Let's not forget the DC marched into Fort Quincy last season in the home opener, and due to some undisciplined issues and with the Free Jacks in the second half, DC clawed their way back into it and made things interesting. DC's little brother symptoms, though, against the Jacks the past couple seasons has been defense and also lack of depth compared to the big brother, which is the New England Free Jacks. In the 65th minute, we kind of got away from them in past games due to our depth quality coming onto the pitch compared to theirs. I think it could be a problem down in Maryland when we play them down there. I think you predicted a loss potentially at one point,
I think
whether it
that
be
might be one of the ones. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm not necessarily agreeing with you, but I can see that being a problem. But we don't lose at home, right? So I think a lot of the time last season you had mentioned, and it stuck in my mind, that the most frequent score in MLR is 31. So I've got 29, or excuse me, 21 for the DC Thieves and 31 for our New England Free Jacks. I do see a 10-point difference between the teams. So what you got?
Nice. I have Free Jacks at 31.
What?
There you go. And I have 14 for DC.
Wow.
I
Wow.
had initially a little higher. I was like 2017. But like you said just now, they only pulled 6 points out against a NOLA team that's not awful, but not
Right.
that great either. You know, pundits have talked a lot about it seems kind of like everybody just practiced defense all preseason, which
Right.
may be true and is not a bad way to go about things, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll see the offenses sharpen up as the weeks go on.
Mhm.
But I for that reason because they in particular came out pretty slow last week offensively.
Sure did.
Um, I gave him pretty low, 14.
Okay, I mean, so we're kind of in the neighborhood there, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Free Jacks scoring 31, we're both dead on there. One more time, how did you phrase your key to the game? So I just want to write it down here.
Manage
Manage.
errors.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. All right. And any closing thoughts on this game against DC?
Um, it's gonna be a hell of a time. I'm uh I'm really excited. It's just it's so much fun every time in Quincy. I have never had anything but a fantastic time at a Free Jacks game, and that's
Same.
pretty insane. We're going years now, so
Yeah,
I'm just really looking forward to the that feeling again. Walking into Fort Quincy, seeing everybody, that saying hi, seeing John Payne, who by the way we didn't even talk about it last week. There were like four different scores published for the Free Jacks games, and John Payne went full Batman, tracked it all down. He had watched the replay forensically, figured
hmm,
out where people messed up, and was just like, nope, I am very confident, 46-13. He even emailed like MLR and was like, hey,
wow.
couple score errors. This is the final score. I don't think he didn't hear. I asked him today. I was like, did you ever hear back from him? He never heard back, but John Payne, it'd be good to see John. We sit near each other. Um, it's just the regulars. Everybody you see when you got season tickets, and it's like getting the band back together
It's
every
true.
spring. So
Yeah.
looking forward to it. It's such a good time.
Same here. John Payne is a superhero amongst ordinary people. He really is. If you guys haven't been involved in Ranger picks yet, I think you can do it on a weekly basis. It's not like something you have to start at the very, very beginning. You can jump in at any point, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But he does a fantastic job for that. Really tries to, all of this is just driving fan engagement, right? We want people interested in the Free Jacks. We want them to come to games. So my suggestion to everybody out there, if you've never been to a Free Jacks game, if you're listening to this and somehow you haven't been to Fort Quincy yet, this is your time. Now, the weather might not be fantastic, but that doesn't matter. It means nothing. Just come out, have a few beers. If you're not into that, have a couple waters. Just get amongst the people, right? That's what we want. We want this whole thing to drive forward. And part of that is that fan atmosphere at Fort Quincy. It is second to none. I've been a lot of places in this league: New York, Toronto, DC, Charlotte. I've been all. We went to Chicago as well. So like I've been to a lot of these different venues, and I tell you, and I'll swear on anything you put in front of me, the Free Jacks have the best fan atmosphere in the league. I've been to Seattle. They like to say that they're best. They're really good, but it's not quite the atmosphere at Fort Quincy. If you haven't been yet, you're missing out. Get your butt to Fort Quincy. You will not regret it. That is a Uncle Phil guarantee. And before we exit the video, I will say this. Harking back to a post that we made about 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. Remember a few weeks back, I had posted what's in the box, a little gimmick that we did. All will be revealed on Saturday, and Dave knows exactly what I'm talking about. So you won't want to miss that post. I might make it during the game. That's all I'm saying. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and I think that'll go viral, or at least MLR standard viral. We'll see about that. But yeah, hope to see everybody at Fort Quincy. Go Free Jacks, beat DC, hashtag DC sucks, hashtag rivalry week. God, that's hard to say. And with that being said, I've got one word to exit the video in 3, 2, 1. Huzzah!
Huzzah!